And then there's the blue states, the Democratic-led states that are trying to head this stuff off in their own way, in a different way. They're at least trying to provide people some safety, some place to hide from these kinds of laws that Republicans and their uniformed ski-masked cheerleaders are now pursuing everywhere they have power. We saw it happen in Minnesota a few days ago. The Democratic governor there, Tim Walz, signing legislation to provide legal protection to people from other states, families and individuals from other states who need help. People who have to leave the state where they live in order to get gender-affirming health care or to get an abortion. So if your home state now bans the kind of health care you need as a transgender person, or if your home state now bans abortion, if your state is one of these Republican-led states that's now threatening to bring prosecutions against you or against your doctor for seeking this kind of care, Minnesota law officially now says, we will provide you refuge. You can come here. You will be safe here. This was the headline and the lead in the Minnesota Star Tribune. Quote, the Minneapolis Star Tribune, quote, new laws make Minnesota a refuge for abortion and gender-affirming care. People traveling to Minnesota for abortion or gender-affirming care will now be shielded from legal consequences under new laws signed by Democratic Governor Tim Walz. And Minnesota is among the latest, but they are certainly not alone. The Democratic governor in Colorado and the Democratic governor of New Mexico each just recently signed similar shield laws to protect people who are fleeing Republican states, to protect doctors who Republican states are threatening to come after, even in states where abortion is legal. And then there's Washington state in the Pacific Northwest. You might remember a few weeks ago, we covered a new law passed by Republicans in Idaho. And in Idaho, the Republicans there are not only banning abortion in their state. That's not going far enough for them. No, Idaho Republicans have taken it a step further. They've passed a law that would try to ban Idaho residents from leaving Idaho to get an abortion somewhere else. This means Idaho Republicans are explicitly threatening to bring prosecutions against doctors in other states for providing abortions to Idaho residents while they're not in Idaho. It's like your state's politics stain you personally, and you're never allowed to wash it off. The Idaho ban threatens their own state's residents, threatens Idaho residents for leaving the state. It threatens anybody helping an Idaho resident leave the state, and it threatens doctors in other states where abortion is still legal. Just an incredible thing that Idaho Republicans are trying to do. But I was struck at the time we first covered this a few weeks ago. I was struck by the personal, put my name on it intervention from the Democratic governor of a state that borders Idaho, Washington State's Democratic Governor Jay Inslee. While Idaho was considering that bill, which they have now passed, Governor Inslee wrote to his Republican counterpart, wrote directly to the Republican governor in Idaho. He wrote him a letter, man to man, governor to governor, telling him, don't do it. Dear Governor Little, I write this letter to urge your veto of this Idaho ban on people leaving the state of Idaho to get an abortion. Governor Inslee explained his objections to the bill. He warned the Idaho governor that this legislation would contribute further to what he described as already an exodus of healthcare professionals from Idaho. But then he said this. He said, quote, regardless of your decision on this bill, we welcome Idaho's patients and healthcare providers with open arms in Washington. We will care for your residents in a manner consistent with their healthcare needs as determined by trained medical professionals, not politicians. But make no mistake, Governor Little, the laws of another state that seek to punish anyone in Washington for lawful actions taken in Washington will not stand. He says, quote, we will protect our providers and we will harbor and comfort your residents who seek health care services that are denied to them in Idaho. We will harbor and comfort your residents who have to flee your state to come here to get health care that you have criminalized. And he signed his name to it. And Idaho has since signed that legislation. But Washington has agency, too. And since then, Washington Governor Jay Inslee, a Democrat, has signed legislation that blocks law enforcement officials and courts in Washington state from aiding any other state's abortion-related legal investigation. It blocks police and courts in Washington from assisting other states' investigations going after trans people. He signed legislation to protect Washington doctors from professional disciplinary action if they provide care that is in violation of some other state's laws. He signed legislation that says in Washington, the data from cell phone apps that track your period, that data can't be shared without you okaying it. So they cannot use that data. They cannot use those apps as evidence in any prosecution related to abortion. Governor Inslee has also bought a stockpile of abortion pills for Washington. He signed legislation to ensure that medication abortions stay legal and available in Washington, even as Republicans try to ban them in every state in the country. And, you know, there's always a tale of two cities that you can tell in this country. I've always been interested in state policy, state politics, the way things shape up, and the way you can see the states not just as sort of laboratories of democracy, but you can see the states where they are trying out things that each of the parties wants for the whole country. And so there's always been a tale you can tell about, you know, what Republican-controlled states are doing versus what they're doing in the blue states. And I think I find it probably more interesting than most. I've always been intrigued by these stories. But, you know, as much as you can see in different states, between red states and blue states, a difference in priorities, a difference in outcomes, sometimes a notable difference in seriousness of purpose among lawmakers in those two different kinds of states. For all of that, all those trends that I followed for years, this is one of the few times I can remember when Democratic states like Jay Inslee's Washington state are passing not just legislation that's different than what they're doing in the Republican state, not just passing legislation that makes blue states distinct from Republican states in terms of policy and likely outcomes. This is the first time that I can remember when Democratic-controlled states feel the need to pass rafts of legislation basically just to protect themselves from red states and what they're doing over there.